Have you ever been stuck? Really stuck, staring at a problem and you just keep hitting a wall? Well, what if I told you there's a tool, a structured method designed to help you smash through that wall by looking at things from a completely different angle? Today, we're diving into something called the Synectics model. It's an incredible way to make really complex ideas finally click. Let's get into it. Okay, to kick things off, let me ask you a really weird question. What on earth does the US Civil War have in common with an earthquake? I know, it sounds like the beginning of a bad joke, right? But stick with me, because the answer to that bizarre question is actually the key that unlocks this entire creative process. So yeah, that question wasn't just for shock value. It's actually the perfect starting point for this creative thinking tool called Synectics. The whole process is designed to give our brains a little jolt, to get us out of our usual boring thought patterns and help us forge these amazing new connections. At its heart, Synectics is all about making connections. It's a system that uses metaphors and analogies to help us see surprising links between things that seem totally unrelated. And the cool thing is, this isn't just a mental trick. The process actually helps build more sophisticated neural networks in your brain, making learning feel deeper and way more permanent. Now, this is what makes the model so unique. Its creator, William J.J. Gordon, had this fascinating idea. He believed that real, true creativity doesn't come from the logical part of our brain. Nope, it comes from our non-rational, imaginative side. So Synectics is specifically built to tap into our feelings and our imagination first. We're bypassing the logical brain on purpose to get to those aha moments. The Synectics model has a couple of different flavors, but today we're going to focus on one called Making the Strange Familiar. It's just a perfect tool for when you're trying to wrap your head around some new, complex piece of information. So let's walk through it step by step using our Civil War and earthquake example. Okay, so here are our two concepts. On one side, we have the US Civil War. For a student, this can feel like a strange topic, right? It's huge, overwhelming, and complex. But on the other side, we have an earthquake. Now, that's a more familiar idea. It's visceral. We can imagine the power and the feeling of it. The goal here is to use that familiar idea to shine a light on the strange one. So how do we actually do this? Well, the process is broken down into a series of really clear steps. It's designed to guide your thinking from this abstract creative space all the way back to a concrete analytical one. Let's check out the first four steps. All right, step one, you lay the groundwork. Get the basic facts about the Civil War out there. Then, step two, you just drop the analogy. The Civil War is like an earthquake. Simple. Now, step three is where it gets really fun. You use a personal analogy. You actually ask students to imagine they are an earthquake. What does that feel like? You might hear stuff like, I feel immense pressure building up, or I am a sudden violent shattering, or the ground is groaning inside me. From all of that rich sensory language, we go to step four, pulling out words that seem to contradict each other. And this step leads us to the absolute heart of the whole process, something called the compressed conflict. It's basically a poetic two-word paradox that perfectly captures the tension inside our analogy. So from that earthquake description, you might pull out a phrase like destructive creation. It's perfect, right? An earthquake destroys things, but it also literally creates new landscapes. This powerful little phrase is the engine that's going to drive the rest of the exercise. Okay, so we've taken this deep dive into the imaginative side. We've become an earthquake. Now what? Well, the model cleverly guides us right back to our original topic. Let's look at the final three steps and see how all this creative work builds a totally new understanding. So in step five, you take that compressed conflict, destructive creation, and you apply it directly to the subject. You ask the question, how was the Civil War a destructive creation? And suddenly, lights go on. It destroyed the old Union. It destroyed the institution of slavery. But it led to the creation of a new, redefined nation. That's step six, re-examining the topic. Students can now talk about the war using a much richer, more nuanced vocabulary. And finally, to really lock in that new understanding, they do step seven. They generate their own brand new analogies for the Civil War, all born from this new insight. Now, this all sounds wonderfully creative and fun, but you might be thinking, how can you actually tell if it's leading to deeper learning? Well, that's another great thing about the Synectics model. Assessment is kind of baked right into its structure. You can check in on the fly just by listening to the group discussions and seeing the quality of the analogies people are coming up with. For something more formal, you could have them write an essay explaining the Civil War using the insights they just gained. Or you could even just evaluate the brand new analogies they create in that final step. It's a really flexible way to see if they truly get it. So when you boil it all down, that's the real power of this model. It helps you see something you know well in a completely new and strange light. And it helps you understand a brand new, complex idea by looking at it through a familiar lens. It's a structured way to just, well, supercharge your thinking. So I'll leave you with this. What problem are you trying to solve right now? What new thing are you trying to learn? Maybe the answer isn't to just find more facts, but to find a better, weirder analogy. What strange connection could be the key to unlocking your next big idea? As always, the sources we used for this explainer are up on the screen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.